live video after I think it was last week. I did my first time doing a vertical live, and it went way better than I anticipated, which is really great. And I did my Friday live, and people were showing up there a little bit more than usual too. That was exciting. So I don't know if that was because of you guys from hanging out with me here or what, but I'm definitely loving the increased foot traffic into my virtual space. So thank you in advance. I'm sure I'll say thank you again toward the end of this video because I really do appreciate it. So last night I took myself to the movies. I do this sometimes. I enjoy it quite a lot, actually. I feel like it gives me a chance to really focus, and I can stay till the end of the movie. Like, I actually do enjoy listening to the music at the end credits, and reading the names, or at least just like looking to see how many different people are involved. Staying for a post credits sequence, perhaps. I like to do that. But last night I went to go see NeZha 2, which is a Chinese film. And you might be wondering, well, why'd you go see a Chinese film all by your lonesome self on a Monday night? And I will tell you, because this thing has either it's already cleared or it's about to clear the $2 billion mark at the box office. It's breaking all kinds of records, which is very weird for like the beginning of a year to have that kind of level of box office response. And just doing a little bit of reading online, it seems like what's going on is, I mean, there was already a fan base after the first film, and then just sounds like there was a lot of growing support around it. I just had to go see it for myself. I did not go see NeZha 1. I didn't see the first installment, and I said to myself, well, this thing's making waves right now. I'm not going to go and track down the first one, and I'm probably not going to understand it that much more anyway, because it's Chinese, and I know there are cultural differences. I know this because I'm currently playing Black Myth Wukong for PlayStation 5, which is like, I mean, it's all Chinese myth and legends, and it was actually gifted to me by someone who just said it's a great game and you should play it. And I've been like loving the learning about the lore and the art style and all that stuff. So anyway, so I wanted to see what this animated film was all about. And I will say this: I'll say some good things about it, and I'll say some bad things about it. Now, the good thing I will say is it is some of the most gorgeous animation that I've ever seen. I mean, it really is beautiful. Um, is this a rerun? Says Fred. No, this is not a rerun. I'm live right now. There's no rerun happening here. Uh, but thanks for asking. But we are filmed in front of a live studio audience, and that includes you there, Fred. So the animation is gorgeous. I really do like that. I think the voice acting, even though it was all in Chinese and I had to read the subtitles the whole time, um, what I could tell, the voices seemed to fit the characters that they were in. Stephen KKUO is in the room. Hello to Stephen. So good voice acting, good music, amazing visuals. Um, the story, I okay. Here's some things about it that I'm like, about. Granted, it's the sequel, and so I didn't have the benefit of knowing what happened before. But I don't know if it was a bad translation. I don't know what was going on, but I felt like they didn't spend enough time on the story. They spent way too much time on the action. Now, the action was really beautifully choreographed. Steven asks, "How are you?" I am good. Thank you very much for asking. How are you? Um, so it's one of those things where like I do love a good action sequence if it's choreographed well and if it makes sense to the story. But they really didn't give me very much story, like reasoning for these fight sequences. Like I want to see why all these fights are happening. And I mean, there was some story. It again, it might have been a bad translation, but a lot of the exposition felt very rushed, or just like you had to know it ahead of time, I guess. So that would be a thing I would complain about. Because of that, the movie felt a lot longer. When I'm sitting there reading subtitles for over 2 hours, um, you can't really see what's going on in the action as much as clearly as you would if you didn't have to struggle to read the whole time. And by struggle I mean the subtitles were like super quick, right? And I get it. It's because they're just speaking the language quickly, and I don't speak Chinese, so obviously I'm not going to be able to follow. But the subtitles were just like, man, man, man. So I felt like I was missing a lot of stuff because I would read something, and I'd have to sit there and like, wait, what does that really mean? Because again, maybe a weird translation. So I'm sitting there thinking about what does it mean, and I'm missing the next lines of dialogue that are on the bottom of the screen. So I just felt like I was missing a lot, and I don't know about you, but if my brain is working overtime and I'm not paying attention to what I'm looking at, like I can get a little bit drowsy. And when you add that into the fact that it's I think like 144-minute runtime, yeah, 144-minute runtime. Good night. It was really long. So I get out of the theater, and there's now I have to point out I was the only white guy in the theater. Okay, this was a excuse me, which I don't have a problem with, but that was kind of funny. I'm like, got it. I'm the weird white guy who goes to see a foreign film on a Monday night. Yeah, that's me. Um, so I get out of out of the theater, and I was talking to some girl. I guess she was waiting for her friends to get out of the bathroom, and I said, "Man, that runtime, 144 minutes." And she's like, "I know, it went by so fast, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And there was a couple next to me, and they had told me that they'd already seen the movie once. They were there for a second time. So okay, people love the movie. I mean, so I'm just gonna say any complaints I have, I'm gonna chalk it up to maybe like culture barrier, language barrier, things that would have maybe appreciate it more if I didn't have to like figure them out as much, I guess. Um, Marks says, "Hey Phil, sorry I missed Friday. I wasn't able." Oh, that's okay. Thank you, Marks. Um, what do you call? Let's see. No, I'm not going to answer that question. Oh, what film are you talking about? I'm talking about. It's called NeZha 2. It is a Chinese film that just came out just a few weeks ago, and it has already made like $2 billion. It's blowing other films out of the water. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think anything's gonna touch that dollar amount all year, and I mean like worldwide. I don't think anything's gonna approach that. Um, Certainly not anything animated. I don't expect it to, but maybe it will. We'll see. Your retaining wall just fell down. You saw right about what, Dylan? I don't know what rerun you're talking about. I'm not sure. Okay. Well, anyway. Uh, so yeah. So the poster for the film. I'm gonna turn my. Can I turn my camera around? I can do that, right? This is the film, NeZha 2. That's how you pronounce it, NeZha. That's the main character who I uh, went into the film thinking that it was a young girl, but it's actually a young boy. Did not realize that. But anyway, it's interesting. My complaint about the narrative in the very beginning of the film was they gave you like a little bit of a lead in where a narrator explains, and I get why they did it this way because they had a lot of story to tell or a lot of fight sequences to show, I guess. So they didn't want to spend a lot of time on like a beginning part of things. So to catch you up to speed, a narrator quickly explains how we got here. And that was part of the problem because I was reading what the narrator was saying and I'm like, wait, what? But there's no time for you to process it. You're like, before you know it, the narrator thing is over and you're thrown into the film. So again, maybe if I would have watched the first film, that would have made it more clear to me. So whatever. Uh, on the Wikipedia page for this film, they're saying it's loosely based on Chinese mythology stories and a 16th century Chinese novel called Investiture of the Gods. So interesting. Anyway, I can't speak much more about the history of it because I don't fully know the history of it. But I wanted to see what all the fuss was about, and I will tell you that if you want to see some really beautiful foreign animation, definitely check it out. It's very nice eye candy. I will say that. Um, and is currently number one as far as uh, the highest grossing films of 2025. It is currently sitting at number one, and it's not, according to this, it's not at 2 billion yet. It's at like 1.99 billion, so it's almost there, right? It's practically at 2 billion. It's really getting close. The next closest film is not even at half a billion. So also a Chinese film, I should point out. And then you've got Captain America: Brave New World coming in at number three at 343 million. So we'll see what happens this year. I know with films from America, most of our blockbusters don't come out until the summer. So I don't know what to expect this year, but I gotta say I really think that they set the bar really high, and I'll probably keep an eye on it all year long. But I'm not expecting anyone to dethrone them at this point. So I've got messages coming in. Let's see. No, no. Some messages coming in that I can't read for some reason. They're being reserved for inappropriate language. So we'll just leave those messages blocked, I guess, and I won't look at them, or I won't say them out loud anyway. Let's see. Besides that, what all is going on? Besides going to see that movie, I did some more drawing today for Scene 35, which if you are someone who follows my regular live streams on Friday nights, you will remember I've been working on Scene 35 for a little while. Let me see how long I've been actually working on that. I started Scene 35 on February 18th, so yeah, probably about 2 weeks, right? Let's see. Is it more than 2 weeks? One. No, it's been exactly 2 weeks. Oh, okay. It's 2 weeks to the day. So I've been on Scene 35 for 2 weeks. And today, I finally got to a place with the scene where I felt like, you know what? I think I've got a handle on this thing. I can probably knock the rest of it out like in less than a week. So this one was a little bit tricky, but I'm happy to report that as of right now, I'm feeling back on track, and it took a little while to get here. But this happens from time to time, and I can't stress enough how the lessons I've taken away from stuff like this are really, like, that's where a lot of the value comes from. So Rocky Burrito says, "What do you even do? I'm the only person here." Well, Rocky, I'm an independent animator, and I am hand drawing a animated cartoon on paper. And so on Friday nights, I do like a horizontal live stream where I turn the camera toward my drawing board and I, talk about my progress and all that stuff. So I'm just mentioning a little bit of that right now. And I know you're the only person in the room right now, but I like to speak as if I'm not addressing quantity of people, because somebody could be watching this after the fact, and I wouldn't, I would still want them to get something out of it. Is it about Danny Phantom? It's not about Danny Phantom, but I do know that show. Nickelodeon show from back in the day. Is that one of your favorite cartoons? I thought the style of Danny Phantom was interesting. I like a lot of the angular stuff they were coming out with in, I think that was like early 2000s, right? It's a little bit after when I was really really into the Nicktoons stuff. I was more watching the stuff in the 90s, like Ren and Stimpy and Rocko's Modern Life and Real Monsters, all that stuff. That was kind of my era of Nickelodeon cartoons. But I watched a little bit of Danny Phantom, and I thought that was interesting. Don't know what that is, what you're asking me. So I'm not sure I can answer that question because I don't know what you're talking about. But uh, no, no, the stuff that I'm drawing is about working in a retail electronics store because I did that for practically a decade, and so I've done these comic books since then, talking about like the people I would meet and the people I worked with, things like that. So I worked on those books for like 15 years, and now I'm taking those characters from the books and I'm animating them. And this is going to be a like a roughly 6 or 7 minute cartoon when it's all done. And I'm like just recently over halfway there, which is cool. Um, oh, chalk. Oh no, it's not. No, I'm using. Well, right now I'm using pencils. I'm using. This is actually the pencil I've been using. These are Color Ace pencils. It's what they're called, Color Ace. The company is now Prismacolor that makes these, but it used to be some other company. I can't remember the name now. Um, but I do all my drawings with like a blue pencil like this. I can show you an example of that. So this is like the drawing I'm working on right now. This is from today, actually. And so this is, there you go. This is that. Um, so, and I've got my next page here. I was going to start working on that, but maybe after my live tonight. So, no, I don't do this for Disney. No, I'm actually an independent animator. I went to art school years ago. I did work at Disney during the summer of 2000, but that was for a different part of the company, not for the animation part. Behind me, I have storyboards. These are the boards that I reference as I'm animating each scene. So I always like turn and look over here and make sure that the part I'm working on is matching what I want to do. And then if I want to change something, then I can still go back and change it. Um, but when I'm done with these drawings, I will bring them, I'll scan them. I've got my scanner right here. This is the literal scanner I use. I'll scan them and then I will clean them up on the computer. I'll add color and then they'll look like that. They'll look like that when they're all done. So, and those are my characters as well. Um, do people at Disney get high? Oh, I would not be surprised if they do. I'm sure they do. Uh, I can't speak, with any experience on that, but I'm pretty sure a lot of artists get high. Yeah. Did I meet Selena Gomez? No, but I would totally love to meet Selena Gomez. I think she's great. I mean, I'm not gonna follow all of her career, but from what little I've seen of her, I think she's pretty great. Um, what makes you bring up Selena Gomez? That was kind of random. Is she someone that you like, look up to or something? I know she was. I know she was presenting one of the awards at the Oscars on Sunday. So that's the last thing I saw with her. Am I accepting of everyone? Sure. Yeah, very accepting. I'm a pretty easygoing fella. Yep, I would say. I try not to exclude people or anything like that. I don't want people to feel like they don't, like they can't have a space or a safe space or whatever. I think it's important that we do that. Right wing people, yeah, I actually have very close friends who are right wing, and we do get into some heated debates. It makes it very challenging because it causes me to have to think of more diplomatic ways of engaging in conversation. And so I try very hard if politics comes up, I try very hard to do more listening than I do talking. I really do try to understand where people are coming from, because I believe if people are making decisions like who to vote for or whatever, any of that stuff, if they're making decisions, they have reasons behind their decision making, right? Like, people are not just randomly choosing stuff. They're choosing things that resonate with them inside their core. And if somebody says to me, "I really believe this," well, I might disagree with you, but I actually want to know why they really believe it. I'm curious. What is it that's resonating with them? Because if I feel like if I understand that, then maybe we can find some common ground. Or I could maybe try to think about an issue differently, or maybe they could think about an issue differently. So, um, you know, right wing people are cool. Yeah, I've got some very cool people in my life who are right wing. Very, very cool artists who are right wing. Um, and you here's the thing: when we get together and talk, we talk about other stuff. We talk about art. We talk about animals. We talk about music. Um, we have more stuff in common, and I think that's where the fun stuff happens. To debate over what one person believes the way things should be run. I don't know. I get it. I think we should be engaged, but I also think life is about more than just that. You know what I mean? So, to answer your question, yes, I try to be accepting of all people, and I try to understand where people are coming from and not make them feel bad about themselves for having an opinion. I don't think we should be doing that. I can't remember where I heard it, but someone was saying, you should be angry at, or not angry at, but you should disagree with ideas, not with people. I like that. When I heard that, I thought, okay, that's good, because you're basically saying, it's let's not make it personal, right? You're saying, like, the idea that's coming out of that person's mouth, I have a problem with, but I don't have to have a problem with the person. And I think if more of us treated our fellow citizens that way, we'd probably have um, a better time. We'd probably enjoy life more if we didn't make everything so personal. I would say that's just my 2 cents on that. I don't know if not. I don't want to get too political. I don't know if anyone out there watched um, the live presidential speech that happened this evening. I watched the whole thing, and I used to avoid stuff like that. It used to stress me out. It still stresses me out a little bit, but I used to think, well, if I avoid it, then it won't bother me. And now I'm thinking a little bit differently. Now I'm kind of like, well, I would rather watch something unedited and make my own opinions about it than read a bunch of headlines and just trust that the headlines are going to give me what I need to know. I feel like you lose context if you just get little snippets from talking heads on cable news, or people on TikTok, or somebody tweeting on X or whatever. Um, that can be helpful, but you don't really get the full story. And I like to get the full story as much as possible, because then I think there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of nuance in what happens in our world, and we really shouldn't be so hasty in our opinions. Rocky Burrito says, making your own opinions. With You're fine with that? Yeah, good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what I believe in. I believe in making our own opinions. I align myself with independent voters, independent thinking, and what that means to me is, yes, I'm aware of the party lines, but if I hear somebody saying I'm so and so and I want to run for this office, then I try to listen to what things they believe in and what points that they're making, and then I make my decision. I don't just go, oh, well, clearly they're from that party, so I'm going to avoid them at all costs. I don't think that's really helpful. And we've also seen, I mean, for years, we've seen politicians like flip flop and change their minds, and so it's like, well, that makes it hard too, because if you chose them for certain things and then they flip-flopped on those things, then you might feel betrayed. So I mean, I get it. This is definitely difficult stuff that we're dealing with. Do I like Nicki Minaj? Yeah, I like Nicki Minaj. I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm a Nicki Minaj like fan, but I'm not against her. I've listened to her music before, and I think she's got some skills. Um, I think she's it's hard to say because so much of the music industry seems to be that they pick a person, and sometimes they have skill, but sometimes they're just like a pretty face, and somebody else is behind the scenes writing all the music and producing everything. Um, and so it's like I like to listen to somebody live, do a live performance before I really decide how much of a musician I think they are, because I kind of think like if they're overly produced, then it makes me a little bit less of a fan personally. Yeah. Would you ever draw a character as voluptuous and beautiful as her? Oh, I kind of have. Well, in my own style, I kind of have. Let me pull up a picture of from the book I just put out last year. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put it on the screen here, and I'll show it to you. I would say she's pretty. I'd say she's pretty voluptuous. This character, she's about as voluptuous as I've drawn in the world of my characters. There's a couple of them. Okay, I'll show you. So she's kind of voluptuous. She's a little bit voluptuous, right? I would say. So she is, and then the other character that I would say is kind of voluptuous, but is a little bit different. Is her? She's not as voluptuous, but she's big busted, but she's not voluptuous. She's more of a loudmouth character. But I would say that's about as voluptuous as I've drawn. Yeah. Let's see here. What we got here. Uh, yeah. I think I see. I think I get what you're. I think I get what you're going for, but I don't know that I have it in my drawing style. But yeah, everyone's got what they like. Everyone's got their preferences. I get it. There's no shaming on that. Anyway, yeah. Well, okay. Well, so this is the second time that I've done a vertical live on YouTube. I did the first one Monday of last week, and I was gonna keep it on Mondays, but I got home so late from NeZha 2 last night. The movie went longer than I thought, and I got home and my throat was kind of sore. So I thought, well, I probably shouldn't do any kind of live stream if my throat's sore, and if it's super late at night. So I pushed it off to tonight. But I'm gonna ask you guys the same thing I asked everybody who was here last Monday, which is there a certain day of the week that you feel like would be best if I did a live stream on, or a certain time of day that you think is like that's when you're available? I'm gonna try different things out. Like so today I'm trying Tuesday instead of Monday. Maybe I'll do one tomorrow night, or maybe I'll wait till next week. I haven't decided yet, but I'm gonna try different things and see what people like and what gets the best results, and then maybe I'll just stick to that for a while. Um, so yeah, so tonight's experiment number two. Maybe experiment number three will be tomorrow. And if you're wanting to stay up to date on when I do go live again, so that you don't have to like wonder about it, if you do the little subscribe thing, you can also turn on the notification bell, and you'll be alerted when I go live. And if you want to learn more about my characters that are right there, you can go to retailsunshine.com. You can follow me for free. I do a lot of stuff for free. You can follow me for free there, and you'll get some of the posts I do and some updates and things like that. So I definitely appreciate any kind of support, even the free support. So thanks for hanging out with me here tonight, guys. I was only going to do a half an hour, and I'm looking at the timer, and it says 29 and a half minutes, so I feel like I did a pretty good job. I'll do this again. Maybe I'll do it again this week. For sure, I'll be back on Friday night, and I do that at 9 p.m. Central on Fridays. So, and that'll be my regular vertical or horizontal live stream where I draw and talk about the drawing process and everything. So come back for that on Friday night this week, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for being here. There's a little beep there in the background. That was funny.